Hello and welcome to the Health Matters Show. My name is Matthew Carroll. As always, we start off these shows by saying if there's anything on the show that's going to affect you, going to be a little bit sort of on edge about what we're talking about. And the subject today is all about smoking because we've never done anything about smoking. And I thought, there's a lot of people in this world, country, wherever, smoke and vape and stuff like that. So we're going to we're just going to have a talk. We're going to talk about the risk of smoking, the outcomes of smoking. We're just going to have sort of the next half an hour all to do with smoking, the risks and the health risks and stuff like that. And we're going to have a special guest presenter on as well, Michael. He's going to be on the show. Quite a subject with Michael because obviously smoking. I've done it for a long time, so we'll find out some information about the situation with Michael as well. So we'll bring him on the show very soon, and we just, like I said, when we start the show, I've always got to say, if it's going to affect you, it's going to be a bit of a touchy subject for you. Just turn the radio down slightly now because I think we don't want to affect anybody. We don't want to do that. We do these shows to sort of recognise different things, different health and well-being matters. Okay, so we're going to bring Michael in on the subject of smoking now. So, Michael, how long was you smoking for before you sort of went on to the vapes?
I reckon. Well, I've stopped a few times, so if I didn't stop, it would be 25 years.
25 years, I think. I think
majority in my life.
I think mine was probably. I think I started when I was about 13 or 14. I think most people, when they are in the sort of teenage years, when they start high school and stuff, don't they? That's when you start smoking. Yeah, I know we've seen cases where people have been younger smoking and stuff like that, but I've never known anyone to sort of come across. I've not come across anybody that smoking at a young age rather than sort of being in their teenage years. And so, I don't know whether you know this or not, but smoking is one of the biggest causes of death and illness in the UK. And every year, around 76,000 people in the UK die from smoking, with many more living with debilitating smoking-related diseases. I'm not quite sure what that actually means. Smoking increases your risk of developing more than 50 serious health conditions. Smoking may be fatal and others can cause irreversible long-term damage to your health. If you become ill, if you smoke yourself, if people around you smoke, which is called passive smoking. So, I don't know if you know this, Michael, or not, but smoking causes 7 out of every 10 cases of lung cancer, which is 70% of people die if they smoke of lung cancer.
Yeah, I didn't know it till like 5 minutes ago until I did a bit of research about this. Yeah, it's basically one of the things man will not be able to stop this. The only way to stop people smoking is what they do every year, inflation of every product sold in the UK, they put it up. I reckon in the next 5 years, maybe before, it's going to be at least £20 a packet for my standard cigarette brand. Like me, when I smoked the cheapest brand.
And do you think that's what causes the damage, smoking cheaper brands? Is it? Do you think that's what it could be?
No, it could be like, obviously, the posh cig, as I used to call it growing up.
With B&H?
Embassy number 1.
Embassy number 1. My dad used to smoke them years ago.
Yeah, they used to be like the posh cig. So even like people who smoked Embassy number 1 have still had illnesses. Like me, basically, on average, I would say 20 a day for 23 years. You know what I mean? And that's just an average. Sometimes I smoke less than that, but if I was out in the pub and all that, when you could smoke in a pub, I could polish off more, probably 36 in that full day.
Yeah, it's a
So,
lot in there.
like yourself, you used to smoke, and obviously with your job, you used to be on the road, so it was just easy, let's just have a fag, have a fag, have a fag. You know what I mean? Like myself, I'm regressing it now with my health conditions. I have something called emphysema, what's part of the COPD.
I think
Uh,
it's part. Sorry, is it part of the COPD sort of group, isn't it? What's COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is it?
yeah.
So it's
So,
emphysema, like a little a lighter version of that.
no, not at all. Not a lighter version. These three or four stages of emphysema. You've got your mild, you've got your moderate, you got your severe, and you've got your like basically. We can't help you anymore. You know, I mean, when I was diagnosed with this back in March last year, I should have stopped smoking straight away. I should have, but I didn't. Something was telling me like, oh, you've done the damage now, so what's the point? You know what I mean? Giving up. But I have given up now for several months. I have had one or two cigs in that time. I will not lie to you. Saying I haven't had any is lying to myself. So I have had a couple. But I'm on the vape now. And I thought my health would get better being on this vape. But to be honest, I wouldn't say it's got worse, but it's contributing to more things like me. I struggle to breathe sometimes, especially in hot weather. Like, it is now very, really muggy. Can't catch my breath.
I think that is like sort of a related sort of issue with quite a lot of people that, you know, this hot weather, because I've just been reading the temperature for today when we're pre-recording this show. It's 30 degrees in Manchester. It's going to be higher of around about 30 degrees. So I think it's going to sort of, 28 degrees and 30 degrees tomorrow. So I think it's, you know, when it's hot, it does, you know, it does cause related problems, doesn't it? And your chest. But I think when you're vaping, I think it's a different kind of smoking. It's obviously most vapes are made with water, aren't they, and nicotine. And I think it's a different sort of way of smoking, but it's a better way of smoking. You know, there is risks of vaping, as we all know. And I've tried vaping from time to time, and you know, sometimes I go through stages of vaping for months and then stop and then vape again, and you know, it's just, I think it's a better way of smoking. It all like sort of like it all comes down to one thing though. You know, all the will in the world. I don't think when you smoke for so long, I think it takes you a bit longer to sort of. I had a heart attack at the age of 32, and I stopped smoking then, but then started again when I was on holiday. I think it was in Lanzarote, and I started again, and I think I smoked again then for about 2 or 3 years afterwards, and you know, it's probably not done me any more harm than what was already caused, but I think it's hard to say that, you know, you're gonna sort of, you know, give up smoking. But I think smoking, I think when you want to give up, I think you've got to be true to yourself, haven't you, Michael? You've got to say, I want to give up, whether you go on a vape or not. Vapes are known to be, you know, less risky than what smoking cigarettes are.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know. It took them 50 years to find out smoking gave you lung cancer.
Yeah.
And these vapes have been going for, roughly around about 10, 15 years or something like that.
I'm not quite sure at the time, but it's around
roughly around about then. I started smoking a vape 10 years ago, but obviously I quit and been carried on with the cigarettes, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't know the actual standing damage a vaping will actually do to the human body. They don't know this yet, because there's still nicotine in that liquid.
Yeah.
There's still chemicals in that liquid. So we just don't know.
When I've done researches about vapes and stuff like that, and about smoking and stuff. So nicotine is the addictive thing that you get addicted to. But the stuff that's in vapes is not as a potential risk of what's in cigarettes. Is that, that's the research I've done about it.
Yeah, they just don't know.
There's not actually any specific
people keep saying
research.
it's not bad for you, because I've spoken to a few people. They said they've never felt better now smoking a vape. There's some people, there's kids out there. I think this is what they went wrong about the vapes and that. There's children out there who's never smoked a cigarette in their life, even
vapes.
adults, and they go for and smoke a vape. Why? Yeah. Why do this?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same minute. Why do this? Why did we start smoking? Because our mate smoked. It was cool.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I started smoking. It was cool because all my mates were doing it. So I thought, yeah, why not? Obviously, if I could turn back time, I would. I would actually, if I could go back in time until I was 15, I would go and batter myself. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't have smoked. So, definitely not.
If you sit basically me and your partner as well, we can tell if someone's been having a cigarette. When we met up last week, because I was near someone who was having a cigarette, you actually asked me direct, have you been smoking?
Yeah, because I could just sort of, like, and I think Gemma as well, my partner, she could, like, we could just smell the smoke. And obviously, I've not smoked in my new car, and she's not smoked in that car either. So I think we could just sort of smell it. But obviously, if you're around people that is going to, obviously there's passive smoking. If you're around people that are going to smoke, whether that's smoking cigarettes, cigars, cannabis, whatever, it's always going to smell. It's always going to be down to the smell of tobacco, isn't it? It's just a known fact. It could have been on your clothes from when you smoked, and you've got that jacket out. Oh, I'll wear that jacket, and you put it away, and it's all sorts of different sort of things. And so let's go on to the sort of risks now. So we saw 7 out of 10 cases of lung cancer, which is 70% of people die of smoke-related diseases. Also, it can cause cancer in other parts of your body as well, which is the mouth, the throat, the voice box, the esophagus, which is the tube between your mouth and your stomach, the bladder, the bowel, the cervix, the kidney, the liver, the stomach, and the pancreas. Other related diseases, let's have a look at this. So, coronary heart disease, heart attack, stroke, peripheral vascular disease, which is the damage of the blood vessels, which can be the blood vessels going to your heart, can be anywhere in your body. And it can also damage the arteries as well, which is cerebral vascular disease. Smoking can also cause damage to your lungs, which is conditions such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which we've talked about, and incorporates, which is bronchiolitis, and emphysema, which is what you've got, Michael. Could also cause pneumonia as well, and smoking can be worse or prolong the symptoms of respiratory conditions such as asthma, respiratory tract infections, which is basically like pneumonia, such as your common cold. So if you're smoking, you're more susceptible to get chest-related diseases like asthma, respiratory disease, pneumonia, bronchitis, COPD, and emphysema. And I think we can all relate to somebody that, as we've seen on oxygen, due to the fact of this. So you got severe cases of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. My wife, her mum had COPD. I did a sort of diploma on COPD as well. One of my specific subjects. It's once you've got it, it's only going to get worse. And I know it's that like, it's only going to get worse. I'm saying that because it's never going to get better, is it? Do you know what I mean? And same with your emphysema, Michael. If you would have continued to smoke, it would have probably got a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely. There's no two ways about it. But it's like now what my concern and I'm like I do panic and all that stuff, etc., etc. But I'm thinking now. I've been on these e-cigs now non-stop for the last 4 months myself. It's like I'm thinking to myself, what's it actually doing to me emphysema? You know what I mean? Is it obviously anything what goes into your mouth and what can attack your lung is bad for you? Is it making it worse?
Yeah.
At the moment, smoking these vapes and all that stuff. Obviously, I would never go back to full-time smoking. Like I did tell you, I do have one now and again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would never go back full-time smoking 20 a day like we're doing.
But do you think if you stop smoking the vapes, do you think you could potentially go back to smoking?
No, I wouldn't. It's like people at Christmas and people who doesn't smoke, they have cigars and celebrations and all that stuff. That's what it will be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have the odd one now and again.
Can you control that? Can people control the situation where I know I've got a friend who, he's a full-time smoker, but when he's had a drink, he smokes a lot of cigarettes. Then he will not have a cigarette for 4 or 5 days after that. Is that controllable, you think?
Well, if you can go 4 or 5 days without a cigarette, you can go finger. Like to me, this is my opinion, social smokers who only smoke when they have a drink.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no point in it. In my eyes, anyway, there's no point in that.
But you just said that. That's what you will do.
No, I'm just saying celebrations and all that. So, like, people have a cigar. Like myself, I had a cigar when City won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, with the Premier League, etc., etc., christenings, weddings, whatever. So people just only have it, that one celebration. Yeah, that's fine. It's a celebration cigar. You know what I mean? Just not like people who go out every Friday and Saturday and smoke, but don't smoke Monday to Friday.
Yeah, that is pointless, isn't it?
Mm.
It is pointless. So smoking can also worsen and prolong the symptoms of respiratory conditions. Like I said, asthma, respiratory tract infections, which is your chest infections and stuff, and severe cases pneumonia. Smoking in men as well can cause erectile dysfunction, which is impotence, which causes and limits the blood supply to your penis. I don't think I've ever seen anything of this sort of severe sort of case. It can also...
I think it's one of them. It can happen, but you've got to be unlucky for it to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also it can reduce the fertility of both men and women as well. Smoking can also make it harder to recover from surgery. Health risk of passive smoking. So second-hand smoke comes from the tip of a lit cigarette and the smoke that the smoker breathes out. Breathing the second-hand smoke can also known as passive smoking increases the risk of getting some health conditions such as smokers, which you don't realise this if you are with somebody that is smoking around you, and it can cause you to get sort of illnesses as well, which is really bizarre because you're not smoking the cigarette, but you're breathing the smoke in. Also, go on. Sorry, you're going to say something, Michael?
Yeah, like second-hand smoking. These people, obviously, who's never touched a cigarette in their life, and obviously they've got diagnosed with lung cancer or diabetes, whatever, it's because of second-hand smoking. So the mum, the dad, the brother, sister, whatever.
It's strange, isn't it? And so also babies and children are particularly vulnerable to the effects of second-hand smoke as well. A child who is exposed to passive smoking is at increased risk of developing chest infections, meningitis, a persistent cough, and if they have asthma, their symptoms will get worse. They also are at increased risk of sudden infant death syndrome and sometimes cause cot death and ear infection called gluea. Also, smoking during while you're pregnant as well. So I've known quite a few people to smoke while they're pregnant. If you smoke while you're pregnant, it puts your unborn baby's health at risk as well as your own. Smoking during pregnancy increases the risk of complications such as miscarriage, premature early birth, a low birth weight and stillbirth. If you want some more advice about giving up smoking, you can listen to people that have done it before, and you can listen to me or Michael, but your own self. And Michael will agree with this, won't you, Michael? There's only one person that can do this, and that is yourself.
Yourself, that's it. Don't give up for anyone else but yourself. Make them part of the reason, but if you're going to do it, you do it for yourself.
And I think when you're giving up smoking, I think it's all about willpower, isn't it? It's about willpower, and I know for me, it took me, say, I was my second attempt. It took me my second try to give up smoking. But like my wife, she gave up first time. Michael, you tried to give up smoking before?
Yeah, I was give up 2 or 3 times. Give up for a year once and started again. That was that would have been a good 10 years ago. Give up for a year, started smoking again. I went out to the pub. Give us a fag. I'll only have one. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, give us another one. So I had a couple of them. Bought 10.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
It just goes on like that, doesn't it? So the GP can give you the best information that you can get and advice on quitting smoking. You need to be in a mental... You need, for me, personally, and this is my advice for anybody that's given up smoking, you've got to be in the right frame of mind to do it. It's like anything. I think if you're in the right mental state, you're going to do it. And, I'm going to give up smoking tomorrow. I'm going to give up smoking. And the first thing that I did was not have a cigarette when I first woke up. And I think for me, it carried on from there. And obviously, it was the second time I went to Lanzarote. I think it was on my honeymoon, actually. I think I wasn't getting married that caused this, obviously. But I think it was the fact that obviously the cigarettes were cheap, and I started smoking menthol, and then I went on to heavy cigarettes, and then like you said, the rest is history. And then 2 years later, I decided, right, that's enough now. I got a severe chest infection, which sort of knocked me. I remember this to the day. It was about 5 years ago, and I sat and I was cooking a roast dinner. And I just sat on the floor in the kitchen, up against the cupboard, and I was ill. I felt really ill. And one of those moments where you feel ill and you think, we've all been through these stages in our life. I think once you realise you're ill and you know there's something causing it, then you know what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
that for me was the last sort of the last time I sort of had a cigarette that morning, and I couldn't even smoke it, and I ended up just sitting up against the cupboard with my back against the cupboard, and I was so ill that I never sort of went to the hospital, but I was on double dose antibiotics, steroids, and to that day, I thought, I'm never going to do that again, because, why would I want to feel like this? Or why would you? Do you know what I mean? And it was all to do with your body not coping with the fact that if you get something and you're ill, the smoking sort of, it's not, and I don't think this is a known fact, but smoking can cause you not to get better, if you know what I mean. And for me, that was sort of the final straw in it. So if you want to give up smoking, then obviously you can take the advice of others, but also you get your GP's advice. You can visit the NHS Smoke Free website, which we're going to look at in a minute, and you can download the free NHS smoking app as well. Michael, did you use the smoking app?
No, I didn't. I didn't use it, to be honest. Probably should have used it years ago. But we learn from our mistakes and all that stuff. Like you said, the doctors can help you with giving up smoking. They give you patches, they give you lozenges. Them Champix tablets are off the market now, so I don't know if it was a concern or they were working for people, I'm not too sure. But yeah, there's loads of help. So myself, I wanted to go for hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
To give up smoking, because I said If this doesn't work now with the vapes and I do start smoking again properly, I'm going to go for hypnotherapy. But luckily it did work. But apparently it's a good thing, hypnotherapy.
Yeah, so I say you've mastered it now, and you've got that. So you can download, like I say, you can download the NHS Quit Smoking app, or you can call the helpline, which is 0300 123 1044, which is 0300 123 1044. Let's quickly, before we finish up, we've got a couple of minutes left of the show. So if you want to quit smoking, the benefits of quitting smoking are improves your physical health and boosts your mental health. After well-being, after a little of 6 weeks of being smoke-free, the benefit is so many more ways, and your loved ones will benefit too from it. On the Quit Smoking app, you can download it, which is the NHS Quit Smoking app, which is one of the best ones out there. You can get it off the Apple Download Store, you can get it off the Google Play Store. Track your progress, see how much money you're saving, and get daily support as well. If you can make it to 28 days smoke-free, you'll get 5 times more likely to quit for good. Is that right, Michael? Do you think you think that's...
Yeah, I've just gone into my smoke tracker. Apparently, well, obviously I've had 1 or 2 and all that stuff, so this is a lie, but if I wouldn't have had 1 or 2, I would have given up smoking now for 186 days. I would have saved £2,555. I've got 35 days life and back for giving up smoking, and also, this is what makes me like, wow, it's how much I smoke, because you don't realise that 20 a day, you don't really do the maths. So in 186 days, I've not smoked 4,647 cigarettes.
When you see it like that, it's a big advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you count how many you haven't smoked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and how much money you save as well. So on average now, how much are they?
Yeah, £2.5 grand savings, and that's for half a year. You know what I mean?
How much on average are a packet of cigarettes now?
On average, they're roughly round about £13, £14, but obviously that's for the cheaper end, because I've seen I think the dearest is £16.50. The dearest.
Wow, it's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, really expensive. Like myself, £2.5 grand. That's a family holiday. That's maybe 2 holidays. You know what I mean? But depending where you want to go.
Yeah.
And the same what you can do in a year. So that's this is in 6 months. So it's £6,000 a year, depending what brand of cigs you smoke.
Yeah, and for me that is just an astronomical amount of money, isn't it? It's definitely worth giving up smoking. I think after a certain level of time, you sort of getting your body back and stuff, don't you, as well? Like, yeah, you won't. I know one of the big things for me, quickly before we go, was not getting as much illness. I've not felt as much. I've not got a cold as much. Touch wood. I've not had chest infections as much. I've not. It just benefits from it. It just benefits from giving up smoking, and there's no other benefit than feeling the satisfaction of I've done it, I've achieved it, and that's why we do these shows to show what you can achieve if you want to. Do you know what I mean? Like we had a show a couple of weeks ago about achieving your goals and stuff like that. And it's just you've got to realise that the statistics that Michael just give you about his giving up smoking, you've got to realise that that there's only benefits from it, isn't there? Even if you go to vaping, you're still saving a lot of money. Obviously, if you didn't vape, then you wouldn't. You're not gonna. You're gonna save more money than you are if you are vaping. So I don't think there's any sort of. Just to finish up now, I don't think there's any sort of specific problems from vaping as such. But there is still sort of downfalls from it. It's not. We're not saying that go vaping and you're gonna live your best life, because you might not do. But if you definitely give up smoking, you've got a better chance of living longer, saving money, and just having a better quality of life. Thank you very much, Michael, for joining us on the show today. It's been a pleasure, as always. We'll get in touch with you again soon, and we'll get you on the show again.
Yeah, okay, Matthew. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care for now. Thank you for joining us on the Health Matters show today. It's been a pleasure to put the show together for you, and take care of each other, look out for each other, and make sure you quit smoking if you're a smoker. Take care for now. We'll see you next week.